Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Metro Exodus Good Ending walkthrough, and this is mission 4, also known as the Caspian, and this is part 3 out of 3. And where we left off, we picked up the enhanced night vision goggles, and after that you are supposed to go up here and meet up with Damir. And I have trimmed out quite a long bit here at the beginning. We joined Artyom and Damir just before the first combat against humanimals in this area. This place is known as the Oasis, and we're gonna unlock a bonus trophy in this part of the level as well. A trophy called Roller Coaster, and you unlock it by riding a bucket elevator up into where the slaves are kept, because we are here to gather resources to get the Aurora working again. And I think my mace my mace is a bit memory. My memory is a bit hazy, but I think the main reason why Damir and Artyom are here right now is because we need water for the tank of the Aurora, since it is a steam-powered locomotive. And to get one of those locomotives to work, as far as I know, you need water, you need coal, and you need fire. And in here we have water. Every steam locomotive has a boiler which propels it forward. The things you pick up over the years. How it all works together, I'm not quite sure. But this video is not about collective transport. This is how to get you through this game and getting Damir to stay with the crew when we're done in this level. And I was hanging around back here. You saw me in the last fight. I stayed down in the staircase. That's because the enemies in these games, as you have seen, if you have followed my walkthroughs, you know that the enemies aggro inside a certain area, or their aggro is more focused inside a certain area. So when I went down on the staircase, they mainly focused on Damir and weren't too concerned about my presence in the area. And that is something I try to utilize as much as possible. It only works on mutants, as far as I know. I have never tried it with human enemies, because I think mutants are usually harder to kill than the humans, actually, because they do take a bit more of a pounding. This is something I've gone over in my previous videos. And also, they are so aggressive. They will charge at you like there's no tomorrow, and for them there isn't. Because they are running straight into machine gun fire, son. But these fights are relatively easy. You can use those geysers. You can fire at them, I think. But Damir shows you that you can fire at them and they will catch on fire. And you can fry some of these assholes with them if you want to. But I think running around, running back and forth, trying to always make sure to hit your target. I'm not the best at it. Which you have seen throughout this guide. And just try to stay mobile, and you shouldn't have too much problems. And in here in the Oasis, we're also gonna release a slave. And this is something that's very important, since this is a place where they keep slaves. Do not kill any of the slaves. I am saying this very clearly because this is very important. Throughout this level, whenever you come across a place where there are both slaves and slavers, make sure to drop a quick save before you engage in combat, and never ever ever fire at the slaves, because that will affect whether Damir will stay with you or not. I am not 100% sure how sensitive it is, But I try my very best, and in this guide I succeeded in not shooting any slaves at all. And whenever you have a chance to free them, do so. But the bucket lift we are gonna use to get out of this place and into their camp is over to my left. So I like to use the tihar and take out that guard. And you see a slave over there in that little hut. He is moving back and forth with buckets of water. Make sure to drop a quick save here, because if you get spotted, the lift will stop. And that is not very good. So we're just gonna wait for him to fill his little bucket. He's gonna go on his merry way, and we start to make our move towards the lift. If you don't want to take that trophy, can't see any reason why you shouldn't, but if you don't want to, you can go up the stairs to the right, where that guard that I shot is just at the bottom of those stairs, and there is another slaver further up, so be aware of that if you choose to take that path up. But when we get up here, you end up there. You see roller coaster. I think that's what I said it was called as well. Never mind. But we are beneath a big, can't remember what it's called, kind of mill. People are moving it around, and those are slaves, people. They are moving that treadmill. I think that's what it's called, treadmill. Anyway, do not kill them. They don't want to be here. They are just there working, because if they don't, they get killed. And since this was my first time using that elevator to get up, I wasn't quite sure where I was. But this is a little bit me winging it. But this area isn't too hard. You will also have the help of Damir in this place. Try to take out as many enemies as possible and make sure to hit whenever you fire. But they are getting a little bit anxious up there, so I'm gonna take out at least one of the guards. As long as you haven't been spotted, make sure to try to take out as many as you can. Because probably sooner or later things will kick off. They do kick off quite quickly for me here, and the fewer enemies you have to fight, the better, right? Isn't it always like that? But now I was trying to see, just scoping the area, can I take off any more easy kills? And the reason I get caught out here is clumsiness on my behalf. And I'm gonna tell you about it so you don't make the same mistake as I did. These are guys that Damir has taken out, by the way. Because when you circle around this truck, so far so good, right? But there is a guard dog sleeping on the ground. You see him right there to the left, behind that blue barrel. So take him out. I missed the fact that he was there, and shit kicked off. I tried to throw a knife, but they had already spotted me. So we're gonna pick up another good karma point by opening this cage. Free this slave, since we are nice persons and we try to free slaves whenever we can. But for some reason, just because that guard dog woke up, everyone knows exactly where I am. Which isn't a super big problem, because as I said, Damir will aid you in this fight. And what a fight it is. I suggest try to stay back as much as possible. I don't know actually if Damir can kill all the enemies in this area. He might be able to do so, because that's what's a little bit weird about the AI controlled companions in these games, because if you leave them for long enough when you're in combat against an enemy, they will take them all out usually, especially when, or at least when it comes to mutants. As I said earlier in this video, I haven't Ever tried just hanging back when it comes to human enemies, so I don't know how the AI will react to them. But this is also something I did on my first playthrough, which I think is a pretty good strategy, is that I move up into this little complex, this little walkway, because we have metal plates to the right, so the people down on the ground will have a hard time hitting you. And you can take out quite a few of these guys. If you move up here silently, they will usually have their attention focused on Damir, since he is being very aggressive down there. Don't know how his aiming skills are. Hopefully better than mine, at least. But your AI companions, I think they don't do as much damage as you do. So if you wait for him to take out all the enemies, I think you're gonna be here for a while. But as I said, this is on normal difficulty, and this game is quite forgiving when you play it on normal. And this is, I think that's the last guy. I do know now that he is not the last guy in this compound, because you hear screaming, but I couldn't find any more enemies. I think you'll see me running around here for a little bit, trying to see if I could find any leftover guards. Also, one more thing that I should probably address now. I would suggest you use your shotgun in this area. This is something I should have said earlier. My bad, I apologize. Because after this, after you get out of here, there is a fight that's gonna take place after a cutscene, where you and your crew are being ambushed by the slavers. And you'll see in this video that I, since I was quite liberal with my ammo in this fight, I only have like 44 bullets for my Kalashnikov right now, which isn't great. I admit that. I do have a few shotgun shells. But in that fight, things got a little bit hairy. Since I think I ran completely out of bullets. And you see these guys? As I said, these are slaves. They are shit scared of you, so just leave them be. They will not attack you in any way at all. And come to think of it, I think actually that the guy that is still alive, I said that in the staircase there are two slavers, and I took out the one at the bottom of the stairs, and I said that there is one further up. I think the one that's further up is the one that I didn't kill. The only difference that will make is the cutscene that you will see when you leave this place. If you have killed everyone, you will just cruise off, and I think Damir will say something along the lines of at least no one's following us or some shit like that. And if any one of them is still alive, also I got a good karma point for not killing any of the slaves, he will say something at, oh shit, they're following us, blah blah blah, something like that. That's the only difference that will make. But now we are under attack. And this fight can be a little bit finicky, because there is a lot of dust flying around and there are quite a few enemies. What I like to do here is head up here on the left side. And you are free to kill here at your heart's content. And I think, not 100% sure, there are a lot of things in this. A bit of an assumption. But there might be a heavy among these enemies, because one of the weapons you can pick up at the end of this fight, when all is said and done, the corpses are stacked up to the heavens, there is one of those rifles that the heavies use. Can't remember what they're called, if they're called Bulldog or some shit like that, but I never noticed him, at least. But I ran out of bullets for my Kalashnikov. I do have quite a few rounds for my shotgun. But shotguns aren't good at distance. And in the Oasis, since there is so much close quarter combat, it's better to use the shotgun in there. And the Tihar is worthless. Is something I said as at the very same time as I shoot the guy. And he dies, of course. But the Tihar is only good if you manage to pull off a headshot. That is something I've talked about. And I think, once again with thinking, but when enemies are aggroed, when they are in an aggressive state, if you watch the tips in during loading screens, they talk about that they will get an adrenaline rush. And they will take more damage before they go down. And this is, by the way, the last guy. No, there are 2 guys left, but I'm gonna take them both out with the grenade. Now what was I saying? Yes, aggro. They get an adrenaline rush, which will make them take more damage before they die, which will make the Tihar even more useless than it was to begin with. But after all is said and done there, you will get a chance to go into your base, go to the workbench. Make sure you have at least 3 Molotovs, because here we're gonna face off against the last heavy we're gonna kill in this entire game actually. But we are heading into the enemy main base and shit is gonna get ugly towards the end of it. So go back to base and make sure to clean all your weapons, dismantle any bullets you don't need, and what was I saying? And also stock up on medkits, because we are going in, and it starts off pretty great. But no matter how you do this, there are some things we're gonna do that are, as far as I know, quite vital towards getting Damir to follow you at the end of this mission. But one of them is gonna make things kick off. But the only difference between doing that and not doing it is that things will still kick off, because I tried not doing it actually. And only difference is that it kicks off a bit sooner. But first, we're gonna employ stealth. As soon as Damir and Giul decide to move their little fannies over this way so we can open this grate and head into the base. Make sure you have your throwing knives equipped. And I suggest you drop a quick save right here. Or wait just until you get into this tunnel. Because we're gonna sneak through most of this. And took me a little bit to find the pathing here, and here at the beginning it can be a little bit finicky. Make sure to turn off your lighter and be quick when it comes to this guy. You saw him moving ahead a little bit. Stand up, move close to him, and then crouch, because if you take him out too close to that guy sleeping, he will wake up. And that guy down there on ground level is a slave, and the guy standing up there is a slave trader. So we're gonna throw a knife. Terrible knife throw. We're gonna throw a second knife. And it hits him beautifully, straight in the chest. And we throw a knife to take out this guy, because he doesn't need to wake up and throw a monkey wrench in our awesome stealth plan. But as I said, the guy on ground level, he is a slave, so we're just gonna ignore him and let him go on his merry way. As I said, we are not here to kill the prisoners. We're just here to kill the people that are holding them prisoner. And I think I'm gonna run down there and pick up my throwing knife. And I think that's the first knife I threw, the one that missed. So I think I got a little bit lucky that it didn't kill the slave. How how sad would that have been? But here you can head up this little pathway to my right and go in between those two cages in the middle. I decided not to be as stealthy because there is only one guy in here, so we throw a knife straight in his chest and he fucks off into land beyond death. Into the next world. And I like to take out this light. I think you don't need to do this. It was just as an extra precaution. And you can kill those dogs if you want to, but you don't have to because they will not affect anything. These guys can't hear them. So when you get into this room, we're gonna sneak through this entire area and only got spotted by one guy towards the end. But we're gonna hang a right and move over here. There is a guy kicking the shit out of a prisoner here. And sadly, we're gonna have to let him continue on doing so. Because I tried knocking that guard out, and I don't know why, but for some reason I got immediately spotted by everyone. Everyone started chasing me, so just let him continue the torture. Or I think he just kicks the guy around a little bit and then he moves away. But we're gonna move down this little corridor and hug this right wall. Stay in the shadows. Because I've talked about that. As long as you stay in the dark, enemies have a really hard time seeing you. And these guys are fucking blind. And towards the end here, I think it's when I get into that next corridor with the little gaslight, I get spotted. Because there is a guy coming in from the left. So I decided to think on my feet and throw a knife. Down he goes, and no one else is the wiser. So be aware that that guy might be there. I don't know how his pathing is, if it was just bad luck on my behalf, bad timing, that maybe he patrols back and forth on a timer. But if you're quick and take him out, no one will notice anything. And now we're gonna head into the main base. And inside the main base, we're gonna save 2 slaves. And no one will notice that you saved the first one from getting his ass kicked. But they will notice you saving the second one, and that's when things are gonna turn rather ugly. But as I said, they will turn ugly either way. This only does... The only thing that this changes is that it does it a little bit sooner, and Damir will be more motivated to come with you. And when I read tips online about this, saving the second slave was something they said is really vital for Damir to follow you. Make sure to sheath your weapon. Do not keep it up. I don't know if that will affect anything, but that is also something they say in the tips during loading screens here, that always sheath your weapons when you're in a non-hostile area. And it also makes you move through... It always... blah. Also makes Artyom move a little bit faster, was what I was gonna say. And the first slave we are gonna save. There are a lot of guys in here, by the way. I decide to knock out the guard that's kicking his ass. And we have him right here. He's gonna throw him into that room. I think you're gonna see a shitty transition right there. Sorry for that. And we're gonna follow the guard into the room. And the reason you saw that transition was that first I killed that guard. And the slaves said that they will kill him because his master is dead. And if you knock his master out, he says that, oh, don't kill him, he won't remember this and everything will be fine. It won't really matter because everyone will be dead by the time we leave. But go for the knockout. Better to be safe than to be sorry. And here we're gonna save the second slave, and this time I'm actually gonna kill the guard. This woman right here. So we kill this guy, and now we're gonna be quick. Stab him, stab his friend, and move out on this balcony and in behind this wall. Because we have one guy here that is not very happy about the fact that we just stabbed 2 of his friends in the chest. And this is where shit kicks off. Now we have done enough for Damir to go with us towards the end of this mission. If you have followed this guide, not killed any slaves, saved all the ones in the ship and or in the 2 ships, now we are moving towards the Damir trophy. That should have been unlocked now. So what do we have to do now during the rest, maybe like 7 or 8 minutes we have of this mission? Well, we're gonna try to get out of here alive. And there are a few enemies up there. 3, I think. And there is one behind me as well. I got a little bit lucky here that they weren't super aggressive. I think I was a bit too far down in the staircase, so they didn't aggro properly. They didn't fire, so I could just take my time, go for the headshots, conserve my ammo as best I could. I always like it when you get time to line up your sights so you can do those wonderful headshots. And I was checking there because there usually is an enemy over on that side. So if you're too quick to move up here, he will come in behind you and shoot you in the back. Which is some bad upbringing, I think. Bad manners. And now we're working our way up to... I think he calls himself the Admiral. Or something stupid like that. Something pompous. And we are making our way up to his chambers. So we can take him out. This is really weird. I shot a guy in the head with an unsuppressed weapon, and his friend didn't even flinch first, and now he's dry humping the air. It's a perverted corpse. But if you don't save the slave woman, you're gonna come in here, you're gonna meet the Admiral, you're gonna watch a cutscene, Gyul is gonna show up, and the only difference is that things will kick off in here instead of down there. So there's like 5 enemies difference, and I'm sure that this will unlock the good ending. Or it will make Damir stay with you. And I have equipped the Molotovs. The heavy doesn't show up for a little while. First we're gonna have to take out 1 wave of enemies. And I like to hunker down behind this... what is it called? Flower pot. Because almost all of the enemies will come in from that little platform on top of the doors. Make sure to keep an eye on the sides, because sometimes enemies will come in there and my weapon jammed. Of course it jammed. Weapons always jam in the worst situations. And in between this wave and the second wave, where the heavy will be, there is a checkpoint. So, as you know, you cannot quick save during combat, but you do get a checkpoint in between fights, which I think is really kind of the good developers over at 4A Games. Because if there wasn't a checkpoint there, on Ranger Hardcore, this would have been a beast of a fight to get through. Because that is something I've talked about. I have tried it a little bit, and you die really quickly on that difficulty. Now the Admiral is just holding a little speech, and we are waiting for the heavy. You will soon see him in the right window as he's making his way towards the door. And as soon as he gets in through the door, make sure to start blasting his ass with Molotovs. And he will also be accompanied by some normal enemies. But he is the main threat. Heavies always carry those huge machine guns. There you see him. He's coming. And as soon as he comes in through the door, he opens it. I think it closes in behind him. Yes. And start ramming him with Molotovs and bullets. Molotovs are super effective. You see that? 2 Molotovs around 1 clip of the Kalashnikov, down he went. And Molotovs, I talked about that in my Yamantau video, I think, are the absolutely most effective way to take on the heavy armor dudes. Because hand grenades will make damage, of course, as hand grenades do, but their heavy armor will shield them from most of the blast. But fire, as everyone knows, eats through everything. And it does make a substantial amount of damage to them. And I was getting quite liberal with my Molotovs because I know that I will not be needing them anymore throughout the rest of this game. In the next level I will show you I will not fire a single bullet. Is a lie. You have to do it at the end because there is a boss there, but I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. But throughout most of that level I will not fire a single bullet. It's just the final boss or the final obstacle you need to get past, beat the level, that we're gonna engage in combat. For the rest of that level I'm gonna sneak through everything. And Damir has decided to join us, which is the sign that the fight is over. And if you have followed this video, once again, done everything I do through all 3 of these videos, it's a really long level since I had to chop it up into 3 almost 30-minute videos. But Damir will follow you at the end of this. He does stand around and hesitate for a little while, but he will. I was really nervous because when you look it up online, or when I recorded this, there wasn't any really good information on how to make him stay. So I just went with the precautious way. Save all the slaves I can, do not kill any of them. And of course, save those 2 slaves inside this ship. But Anna comes to the rescue once again. We all know Anna is a sniper by trade, and she is really good at her job. But now we have actually beaten the Caspian level. And this is the longest level in the game, and there are only 2 levels left. Or actually there are more than 2 levels left, but there are, I think there's 4 levels after this. But 2 of them take place on the train, so I will not be covering them. But Damir decides to go with us so we can head back to safety and pick up all the supplies we need and head on our way. So I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. And I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.